What's up? It's your boy back at it again with another video in the series we like to call Underrated Throwers. Today we got Julius Yego. Julius Yego from Kenya, 2015 world champion and the silver medalist at the 2016 Rio Olympics. Now, I think he's very underrated because, and I don't know if a lot of people know this, he was actually not coached. He became a 72 meter thrower by watching YouTube. And I think that is, in my opinion, absolutely insane. That he became a 92 meter thrower, a world champion, and Olympic silver medalist from watching YouTube. Alright? That is actually insane. Now, obviously, he does have a coach. If you rewind here a little, he had a coach a little later, but not a little later, because this is him at 2015. This is his winning throw. Now, I don't know if this is actually his coach, or just the Kenyan national coach, but he learned how to throw jab from YouTube. And I'm pretty sure he only got, and don't quote me on this, but he only got a coach basically like a year before this or so. Now, I could be wrong on that. But yeah, he basically got brought up and learned how to throw from watching YouTube. And I think that's insane. The fact that he was able to learn that much from YouTube and just watching throwers, and to put him at least on a trajectory to at least become a world-class thrower. Now, I don't know what he threw before he threw this, like the season before. I don't know if he had a coach before that, or if he just got a coach this year. But what I do know is that he didn't have a coach for the majority of his career. So that is actually crazy. And I think it just shows how impactful watching video is. Video, just watching the best of the best throw and have a mental picture in your mind is very important. Even if you have a coach. Just a mental picture of what a throw is supposed to look like. What a far throw looks like. Having that in your mind will translate to you learning the throw a lot faster. And then once you start studying film, you'll notice similarities that all throwers have to throw far, because you need to have a couple things. You just have to. And no thrower that ever throws far does not have at least some similarity to other throwers who throw far. And I think it gets very overlooked how like watching film and watching throwers really impact how you progress in your training, in your throwing career, or just life, or any sport. And I think that's a big impact. And obviously had a big impact on him. And it worked out well for him. So I think he's very underrated. And I think he's a perfect example of why film is so important. And how watching throwers is very important. Very important. It helped me a lot too. It fast-tracked my training a lot. From my freshman to sophomore year of high school, it's one of the reasons it got me to PR by like 50 feet in discus and like 20 feet in shot put in just a year. It's one of the big reasons. And it's one of the big reasons why I still am in this sport and why I'm still competing and why I'm coaching, is because of watching film. And I see a lot of throwers that come up now, and they're like, and some of them just can't even name the world record holder of their primary event, or even what the world record is. And I just look at them like, you're not serious about the sport. You're not. That's like playing basketball and not knowing who Michael Jordan is or Kobe, or watching football and be like, oh, I don't know who Peyton Manning is or Tom Brady. Like what are you doing? Do you even like the sport? So that's just a little rant. So let's actually just get into his actual throw, because he does obviously throw 92 meters. He has in a world champion. He does things right. And really, there are very few things I don't like in his throw. Let's see if I can even find any. So we'll start with his forward run. I think what gets very overlooked, and I see a lot of new people do this, is new people like to bob up and down when they do their forward run, and they don't really take that much stock into how important the forward run is, and they only care about the cross steps. What people don't realize is, just like in shot put, discus, or in hammer, the start of the throw dictates what you do at the finish. If your forward runs are sloppy, it's going to throw off your crossovers. And what Yego does very well is he does not bob up and down. All right? He stays straight. If you notice any elite level sprinter, their head will stay the exact same height through their entire run in the 100 or the 200 or any sprinting. They never bob up and down because that's wasted energy. And that's also especially important in javelin, because if you bob up and down, it's harder to control the jav, and it's going to start bobbing all over the place. And it's going to throw off balance, rhythm, timing, what you need when you transition to your cross step. So he does a very good job. That jab is not moving at all. I love that his hand is in line with his head. Tip pointed a little down. Nice and wide forward run. And then very nice transition. A clean drawback. So boom, straight as an arrow. He has a little wrap, not that much. And I like that his arm goes side to side instead of around and around, because that's a lot better to do, because it's a lot more natural for your body to go side to side instead of around and around. And the side to side keeps you on a straighter path, and it also mimics running a lot more, because you'll notice his arm is out while his right foot is back, and then when his right knee comes in, his left arm comes in, and so that keeps his tempo and helps him keep his wrap. All right, so that's an important thing to notice right there. Another thing to notice is when he goes, his right foot is dorsiflexed and is pointed at a 45-degree angle, which you don't want your right foot to be pointed that way. You want it, but you don't want it pointed this way, because you'll start drifting this way. You want the right foot to be pointed at a 45-degree angle, because that will keep you straight, because your other leg, your left leg, is pointed straight. Your left foot is pointed straight. And that's what keeps you straight, and that's what keeps you wrapped and keeps you in a more powerful position and a lot lighter on your feet as well. All right, so he gets into his penultimate. Beautiful penultimate. Really love this. And you'll notice when he gets into his penultimate, he's holding his left arm back. and then his right goes down, and he's getting his left arm out the way. And you notice he's already on his left, he's on his block. In jav, one of the biggest differences is that your right foot doesn't really turn. It kind of does a little foot flip. Because you're on spikes in a track, so you can't really turn, nor do you want to. You want to just get in your block as quickly as possible, with as much forward force as possible. Because the jav doesn't weigh anything really. You want to get that you want to get it out of your hand as fast as possible while throwing through the point. So if you were to actually try and turn, it would slow you down and it would stop all the momentum that you actually had, because you won't be able to turn your foot fast enough to go faster than your arm. Because the reason why you grind the ground in shot and disc is because you have something heavy in your hand. Well, heavier than a javelin. So you can accelerate your lower body faster than your upper body. But with a jav, it's basically like you're just moving your arm. And you can move your arm faster than you can move your leg. In most cases, especially when you're a little heavy. It's a lot easier to, I should say. So it's very important, once you get here, boom, he drops the right knee to the ground, which keeps him low while keeping his chest up. And that creates a reverse C, as you see right here, which creates the stretch that you want in your lat, in your chest, in your shoulder. And that's what propels the jav. And that's what gets that snap in that whip. And he drives down and forward with that right knee into a strong left block. And boom, right there. Just gets out of the way. And I've been asked this before. I've been asked why javelin throwers, when they throw, why some of them just fall on the ground. And it's because when you're at this level and you produce this much force and you hit this hard of a block, you don't have enough, like, you need to just fall. Because there's just so much force. There's just so much force in you. Alright? It's hard to explain. I'll admit. It's easier to show someone in person and explain it over video. But there's just so much force into you that it's just much easier to fall than to try and stagger forward. Now, there are other throwers who do stagger forward, but they usually throw not as close to the line. You'll notice that people who fall forward tend to throw a little more back here so that they have room to stagger. And this is also a stylistic and personal preference thing. Because if he wanted to, he could stagger forward. But another reason why a lot of jav throwers that throw like 90 plus meters tend to fall is because they just get so much forward momentum on their block, over their block, that it just happens. So that's another reason why. Because he just pushed so hard and so forward over his block that all his momentum is just going down. And his right leg is so up in the air, it would take him too long to get it down, so he just falls. And that's also another thing, speaking of the right leg, it's very important, after it leaves your hand, you kick that right foot up. You don't want to leave it close to the ground. The reason why is because that stops your forward momentum and keeps you in the sector, keeps you on the runway. You'll notice when he does that, his chest falls. And when his chest falls, he goes to the ground. If he was to keep his right foot lower, he would stagger forward and potentially foul. So that's also another thing to watch out for. When you see jab throwers, you'll notice a lot of them do this. Have their right leg high. Some of them aren't that high, but a lot of them are over their right, above their right hip. So that's also something to keep in mind if you're a jab thrower and you're having trouble staying on the runway. Another thing to fix that, if you're in a meet, is just start a little further back. That's the simplest way. But he has no choice to do that because he's already as far back as you can be when he starts. So, yeah. Let's watch this in in full speed, because I keep forgetting to do that at the beginning of every video. Boom, 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 boom. Nice rhythm. Starts off a little fast, but because he's an absolute animal, he has time to accelerate. He can accelerate at these speeds. Very tight cross steps and a beautiful penultimate. Everything is snappy. Everything is done with intention. That's also another thing that I think gets overlooked. Every movement you see any of these type of throwers make, like a 22 meter plus shot putter, a 70 meter plus disc thrower, 80 meter plus hammer thrower, a 90 plus meter jab thrower, anything they do is not by accident. They have their shit together, and they do every single movement with intention. Nothing is wasted in their throw. There's no fancy stuff they do. If you notice, a lot of really far throwers just do the basic stuff at the highest level. There's really nothing fancy that Yego does. He just does everything at an extremely high level. Every basic thing. And that's very important. You watch some throwers, they just do this fancy stuff all the time, and people try and copy it. But you look at the farthest of the farthest throwers, the world champions, the Olympic champions. A lot of them do a lot of basic stuff. Now, some people have their quirks, but there's a big difference between a weird wind up and a fancy wind up. You also have to find something that's basic for you. All right, not everyone's the same, but you want to you don't want to waste any movement. When you see beginners in discus, for example, and they wind back 4 times before they actually throw. That's just wasted energy, wasted everything. It just makes everything complicated. It's boring to watch. No, all you need is one wind and throw. That's it. All right, just basic. Just one go. And it's the same principle with everything. With all these guys. They just do everything simply, everything basic, but they do everything at the most extremely high level, and it works for them. And it should work for you, because all of them do it. There's nothing really fancy. So, yeah, hope you guys learned something. I'll link his personal best, his height, weight, and his notable achievements in the video description, and see y'all later.